Hi, this is Lucy.
Hi, this is John Wickens.
Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
good. I'm at Mercy Hospital down in Portland.
Yep,
Uh,
yep. I got so I got your message, the message that you left earlier, and you're wondering about antibody tests and why you would get vaccinated if you have already had COVID.
Correct. I'm actually calling for colleagues of mine. There's a lot of people refusing to take the test or the vaccine until they have the COVID test with the
The
antibodies.
antibody test.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I mean.
So the reason that we don't recommend um the antibody test because it doesn't tell you for sure that you've had COVID-19. It just says whether you've had any coronavirus. So it's not diagnostic in that way. Um,
Or
so the,
we actually have two employees that had COVID. They tested positive before. They were the two most vocal about not taking the vaccine because they already had COVID.
so I think today actually on Dr. Shah's press briefing, he did explain that if you've had COVID, you would still be vaccinated again. You can get COVID more than once, so the recommendation is still to get the vaccine.
But it's still, I guess, but and I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just bringing up their points that they keep on throwing at us. Uh, if you can keep getting COVID again, then the vaccine would be useless because all it does is trick your body into creating antibodies. Does that make sense?
So I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not really qualified to explain more how this works. I just know what I've been told. And yeah, I mean, a lot of this to me is confusing actually. Um, so I can only tell you what the
So,
CDC recommends, but in terms of like how it actually works,
well, I mean, the only reason we ask is because we deal with vaccines all the time, and there's not really an instance where if you catching a virus, your body doesn't maintain those antibodies, then the vaccine would actually be pointless too, because all the vaccine does is trick your body into creating antibodies. So the notion that if you got COVID, but your body might not permanently fight it off, that a vaccine would help doesn't make any sense with science. And this is their
so
point.
yeah,
I'm still getting it either way,
yeah.
but that's actually a
So
real.
I don't know. I think this vaccine, the very, very little bit that I know about it, I don't know. It's an mRNA vaccine,
Yeah, it's a
so
artificially
it,
created RNA to actually make itself look like COVID, so that your body actually creates antibodies that are similar to what would fight it normally, but it would reduce the amount of, I guess, symptoms that you would have normally with like a vaccine. But it still acts the same way, where it tricks your body into creating antibodies. It's actually not more powerful than catching the actual virus itself and fighting it off.
so it sounds like you know a lot more than I do about the actual vaccine and how the body works. So
Well, no. And I'm not trying to attack you on this.
for
We've been
guidelines and
debating.
recommendations.
We've been debating at work, and we all know how the vaccines work here, and that's why there's such a pushback with my coworkers. And they're saying this
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Everyone wants to take it that hasn't had COVID or doesn't think they had COVID. But the workers that already
Yeah.
had COVID go, this makes absolutely no sense why they should have to take the vaccine. If it mutated, that would make sense because then you'd have a new one. But the original vaccine was based on the original COVID, and that's when they actually first took it or first had COVID. So it just
So
doesn't.
my only other suggestion is to call the main immunization program directly.
Yeah,
Who I can give you the number.
sure.
It's 1-877
Hmm.
867-4775.
Thank you. And I'm actually on the side of getting everyone vaccinated. I just can't get these few coworkers, and their points do make sense. We've gotten pretty much everyone else on board. It's just that the people that had COVID are refusing to take the vaccine. They're saying they're really, really putting up a fight. And we want to try and make sure that Mercy has all vaccinated workers. And then that way we can kind of promote that to the public. It would be a good thing. It's just that
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
this one little hurdle is just not making sense with our community. Everyone else, the people that have the religious part of it, they're willing to put that aside, philosophical. It's just down to this part where people had COVID, and now you're saying you have to still get the vaccine. That's putting up massive red flags in our group. Does that make sense?
I mean, I'm not having to think about getting it myself yet, so I don't even know.
Because we're at that point. We've already had probably at least 24 workers have gotten the vaccine, and no one's worried about getting sick off of it. The red flag is merely the point where if you already have, it would be like if you had polio and then someone said you still have to get the polio vaccine. You just wouldn't. And then if because if polio kept on coming back, then the vaccine would be pointless too. So we're just kind of getting a little bit of resistance there. If we can get past this hurdle and we can actually get an actual, we've been trying to call and find out, but we haven't gotten any legit explanation on this aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, when I hang up with you, I'm going to talk with my supervisor, but I think that she just has the same information I do because we're not vaccine experts. But definitely, I mean, it's definitely food for thought, and I wish I knew more. But try calling that line.
You guys have been wonderful.
If you can't. Okay, good. That's good to hear.
No, seriously.
I think if you could. I just don't know who else you could reach out to.
That's
where the CDC is supposed to be we're just so ill-equipped at this point, I think, with the vaccination stuff because there's so much unknown really to even experts. So someone in my role is there's nothing to be really trained on to tell you. So I hope that you can get some better information.
Yeah, we were just shocked because Shaw and Mills and everyone else, they've definitely addressed a lot of the questions, but now that the vaccine's here, we haven't had one single person address why you stopped to get the vaccine if you had COVID. It was our line of thinking, as sad as it was to see 20,000, 25,000 Mainers get COVID, we were thinking in our head, that's wonderful and if they recover because that's 25,000 people that are immune, and that's how you build herd immunity. But the moment that you say that getting COVID doesn't actually create herd immunity, you actually negate any benefit of the vaccine. The vaccine's not some magical cure. It's just to trick your body into creating the same antibodies you get from the virus. So to hear these contradicting things, we were all on board, and now it's starting to get a little weird. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm trying to. If you have a chance to watch, we have the briefings on our webpage after they've aired. So I do think I'm pretty sure I heard it in the background today. His addressing this point. So if you tried catching that somehow, there might be some information I just didn't get.
No, that's perfect. I'm actually going to watch that right after. Thank you. If you need to leave a voicemail for me like you did last time if you find out anything. Our goal is to try to get everyone vaccinated or exempted. We were thinking that COVID would, just like the vaccine, if you had COVID, you would have some form of exemption. You either get vaccinated or you had COVID. That's usually how these type of things work. This is how it's always worked in the past with every other virus. Like if you had SARS, you didn't, you know what I mean? Like this is just not following protocol. That's why we're confused.
Yeah, sort of sketchy. All right. Well, good luck in your quest.
No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sure. Bye.